first match as of just a couple of seconds ago. We've entered Champion Select. I am Spuddington, and I'm going to be your slightly out of sync co-caster. I don't have a co-caster. Caster for today. You can tell what's been on my mind. It's an unfortunate fact of life right now. But regardless, I'm going to be trying to keep a close eye on what's going on in this game. Regardless, Azir as a potential first pick here could be pretty good. He is certainly very, very strong, and I don't know about the meta in this particular region, but I would not be surprised to see him being favored. But Corki, very, very generalist strength there, and might be passing over the Azir to their opponents. Don't know if we're in LCS order here, actually, come to think of it. So I couldn't tell you for a definite either way whether we've got the top of the top and the support at the bottom, as ever, because as we know, supports are nothing but peons, lifting up the 1% in gold income and receiving very little in return for their work. I would call for an uprising, but unfortunately, there's only so much one can do when in the context of a virtual environment. Azir. Everyone seems to love Azir, or at least not necessarily picking him. There we go. Not picking him. Got the Caitlyn. Still on patch 4.20. That sounded like a different word that would have been very non-broadcast friendly. And, of course, that does mean that Warwick is very, very strong. Though, as we've actually seen in, IEM or whatever else, there's coordinated play can put a Warwick down. You can take old Yella behind the shed, and he will really, really suffer. Because early on in the game, pre-6 especially, but even after 6, up until he gets to a point where he's got some damage and can start being tanky as well, he's really got absolutely no answer when people invade him. Like 2-on-1, what does a Warwick early game do? Just nothing. He sits there and he's like, oh, I wish I could hit you, but you're CCing me, and that means I'm not even life stealing, which is like my whole gimmick. So yeah, really, really tough to deal with. But of course, once he gets out of control, he really gets out of control, and that doesn't necessarily make him a bad pick. So we'll see if they can make that work for themselves. Corki and Jace already being picked up does imply that Ace are gonna be running one hell of a poke comp here. Poke and focus down whoever tries to dive in. So VP, they really actually need to pick themselves multiple initiators if they want to be going in on a team like Ace, because if they don't, all that happens is, at least for late game team fights, is that the one person goes in like a Vi, and they just get ulted by Warwick when they're on the back line, and then both Jace and Corki focus them, and they get annihilated no matter how tanky they are. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be forced to engage in this environment, because Virtus.pro, as I believe that team is standing for, didn't actually... yes, it is. Wonderful. So, yes. They picked themselves their Caitlyn, they picked themselves their Zera, so it's not like they're going to be out-poked necessarily, or very easily anyway. So they've always got some kind of answer. Maybe if they're sat back at that new shielding tower, they can hold themselves in place, but we'll see. Might be a touch on the tricky side. Bit of a tricky scenario, shall we say. Oh, hey, that is a Janna, of course. Fits with the themes of both of these two comps. Asu indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Sadly, I am not 6 commentators. I cannot be quite on that level. But with the Orianna, that would imply the Jace top, which would actually be pretty dangerous. I'm not sure I like that. You're much better off running Jace mid against that Xerath and picking a safer top lane, like a Rumble or something if you want magic damage. But nope, they have insisted, and well, we'll see what Virtus.pro can do to punish that, because all they really need to do is pick someone with CC, and Jarvan can gank Jace into oblivion, especially if we think about how Warwick just doesn't do anything. I'm actually not a great fan of the Malphite It does serve the purpose of giving them double initiation here. But they're honestly not going to do that well in an all-in now. Now that this Orianna has been picked out, I honestly think they'd be better off picking something like a Maokai and just jumping on that Jace every single time in the top lane, looking to try and snowball from it and then group up and push down towers, because the poke of Jace, if he's behind, is a non-factor. Still, gotta say, I definitely prefer Ace's draft here. They are going to want a bit for tankiness, though. So we'll see if that's a problem. Regardless, Virtus.pro. See if they can get anything done here. We are going to be going into the loading screen fairly shortly now. So I'm going to have to go through that mnemonic trick. Not actually sure how you pronounce mnemonic. It's a word. I want to post it in chat, but I'm not sure everyone's really going to appreciate random linguistics lessons. I mean, you know, I assume your English is pretty good, actually, if you're watching this stream. I've never been one to dumb down my language, necessarily, so good job, everybody. Obviously, you don't necessarily prefer to be speaking in English, and you do know some words really well. I appreciate how well you know the word ace. You can... You know how to extend syllables with ace. You can go ace. Yeah, so very impressive. Gold star to Twitch chat today. So well done on that one. I appreciate that. I've actually got to be honest. I was kind of surprised to discover that Virtus.pro had a team for League of Legends. I mean, obviously I'd heard about the CS:GO team, but didn't know so much about this one, and perhaps it's a little bit surprising to. Perhaps it's a little bit too surprising to see. Well, certainly they seem to be a respectable Polish side. I certainly remember Power of Dreams. He is, or was that Mirror End? Maybe both. God, who knows? I remember some of these players from the last LOL Pro League that I casted, but can't really remember. I mean, obviously they weren't on the same teams because there's been a lot of roster shuffle since then, so can't really remember which teams ended up picking them up necessarily. Could be a bit tricky. So we'll be trying to keep track of that when we get into the game, which shouldn't take too long from now. Obviously, Tournament Realm here, so hopefully there's no delay time, or perhaps there is, now that I think of it, because we may have put a delay timer on in order to make sure no ghosting is possible. If that is the case or not, well, we'll discover it soon, and I'm told perhaps it won't be quite as long as we would expect. There is still some sort of delay, though, of course, because one is always beholden to the loading times. I would supply the world with an SSD in League of Legends installed if I could afford it, but not really a great plan. I'd certainly supply myself, and I'm probably going to do that next time I upgrade my PC. I want to do that. Oh, they're good. Bloody expensive, though. They're bloody expensive. Oh, well. Doesn't really matter too much, but obviously everybody is having fun in chat, but Zusidius is laying down the law right now. Not that I understand a word he's saying. I'm afraid I'm typical Englishman and never learned a language to a degree that I could ever really have a conversation with anyone, so I speak a little German and I speak a little French, but it's not a lot of either, and I certainly don't speak... don't know. I want to say Polish, but I wouldn't necessarily recognize it anyway, so regardless, this is going to be Virtus.pro going up against Ace High and Isu Desu. Oh god. Some people have been on A too much. You've been eating too many mangoes and reading too many... Wait, that's the... You've been reading too many mangoes. Yeah. Oh, lovely. We have a mini-map bug. Oh, well. I'm not sure we can actually disconnect and reconnect. Or maybe we can. But Tournament Realm doesn't let you spectate from friends list. Which could make it a little bit risky to do, to be honest. Well, maybe we will discover. There's some way of fixing that particular little black square around them. I mean, I'm pretty sure that disconnecting and reconnecting does fix this kind of issue. It's just that whether the reconnecting is a possibility, and I think it should be. It should be Tournament Realm, because as long as you don't like close the client entirely, then you're fine to get back in. But looks like we're going to be sticking with it anyway. And we have shrunk chat down as well. You've been given a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see the backstage work on a stream. I mean, all the other streamers do it too. I mean, well, I guess really professional productions don't. Like IEM or what? Oh wait, IEM had oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, but anyway, no, seriously, you know, it's super exciting. Lethillian, I remember you. I certainly remember Holy Phoenix. Used to be on Dark Passage. Theocles, I believe, I also remember, but God knows I don't know where he was. I need to turn the quality up here. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm actually spectating from a different stream with slightly less delay than you guys. But still a bit of a delay. So, somewhat hopeful here that there won't be too much of a problem with that. But I'll have to stick away from narrating what does happen. We'll talk about what has happened, certainly. At this present time, we are sat here thinking, yeah, I really would like it if there was a game to cast about now, but that could be sidelined, I think, really. Nobody really came here to have a game. They just kind of wandered in. That makes sense, right? People just like go to the Twitch list and see like, ooh, I mean, I could watch all these other games, but what I want to watch is this tournament game. And in fairness, tournament games are quite a different beast from Bjergsen streaming solo queue or whatever, because that's I don't know, that's kind of boring in a way, because you know he's just going to clown people. And sometimes he doesn't, and I guess that's funny, but there's no serious strategy. There's nothing to sink teeth into. It's just very light, very airy-fairy, farty-darty, and we'll see if there's anything more to troll you here. Of course, you also get to troll our chat. Of course, I don't know you're trolling. I don't understand what you're saying most of the time. So, you might be trolling, you might not be. Maybe I'm trolling you by saying you're trolling. Such is life. Nothing but a snake that reverts upon itself and bites its own tail. Just don't play Cat's Cradle with an Ouroboros. That's weird. You could, probably. I mean, it's a hypothesis, really. But you'd have to be some kind of god. References. Ooh. Am I doughy yet? I'm not. I'm not. God. I'm not sure I'd want. Well, no. You never know. Still looking at the actual game in progress. Trying to get back down from outer space here. With the Jace, the Orianna, everybody's spread out fairly evenly across the board here. Looking to just defend those jungle entrances and hopefully keep out any potential invades. I don't think there's going to be anything here. It's rare enough to see the invades, although I think we will see them more and more as time goes by. And I'm also curious as to whether we're going to be seeing the Gromp starts or the Krug starts. Those that need to give the bot lane that extra experience and whatnot. So right now, of course, we are just sat here. So might just throw it to a quick break. Hopefully this won't take too long, guys, but yeah, it's a little bit damning there, where Vincent Vega did just disconnect. Ooh, he reconnected. Maybe that's the sign. Maybe that's the incoming tide of players that returns us to the longshore drift of gameplay. Tortured metaphors are my... I can't think of a really bad metaphor to come up with. The tortured metaphors are my... But tortured metaphors are my speciality. I take them, I make them, and then I take them too far. I stretch them out. And they have, in fact, unpaused. But I just saw my chat telling me that Vincent Vega had just quit. So, well, regardless... Here in glorious 30 frames for you guys is Virtus.pro. Wait, no, it is 60 frames on Twitch. Yeah. It's glorious 60 frames. Virtus.pro, Power of Dreams. Probably doesn't want to have taken that much damage or to be blowing flask stacks when he can recall, but... Okay, mate, whatever floats your boat. And... Wait, how in God... Oh, he killed a ward. That makes sense. I was wondering how he had a CS. That seemed like a really weird one. Okay, so if he's not blowing that flask stack, there's a... Looks like there's a pretty valid reason for that one here. Possibly going for that late invade, and this is actually a very strong strat. Haven't seen it too much recently, but especially against Warwick, remember, he has nothing in this scenario. No way to escape but the flash, and it's going to cost him because he's already used his smite here. So that's a nice little pickup there for Virtus.pro. They're going to walk out. Don't need no buffs. Just take my frogs. Doesn't exactly rhyme, but regardless, they are doing pretty well for themselves there. And Warwick, he is not. And of course, Jarvan is simultaneously doing the actual jungle on an uninterrupted cruise line by comparison with Warwick. So this is actually a pretty nice level 1 here from Virtus.pro. They've got themselves some nice edges, although Lithilian did kind of read the script. He's gone in. Didn't get the kill. Didn't get the blue, as far as I'm aware. That's pretty good performance, though, honestly, from him. That's going to slow down Jarvan a lot. And right now, it seems to be a game of slowing down the junglers. If Jarvan gets too far ahead of Warwick, they're just going to be constantly invading him. He will have very, very little option but to simply capitulate and give him whatever he wants. It's the sad state, but Jarvan has never made a manifesto that says we will not submit to terrorists, so that's not quite as bad as it could be, I guess. Still, not necessarily what he wants. Generally, kings are all about the take and less about the give. And, well, they have to give sometimes. Hospitals and things. But to be fair, I don't think there's many kings, actually, that give out to hospitals, because the concept of a king kind of got outdated before hospitals. There probably are a couple out there. Sultan and Oman. Xerath getting caught. He was a king, right? No, he was the king's aide. Ha! Dirty traitor. He has been killed. How terrible. Good roam there from Thalkren as well. It was not something he could do anything about in that top lane. He was stuck there with, you know, a duo lane that was freezing against him. So he was just like, well, screw it then, I'm out. I'm leaving. You guys want to freeze me out? I'm going to go find some party time elsewhere. Found his party time behind Xerath's back. Resulted in Xerath going elsewhere. And, of course, Xerath went elsewhere forcibly and has returned from elsewhere now. Makes him sound like a Khajiit, but he is still... Wait, maybe that was Wood Elves. I don't know, I only played Oblivion. Well, I played Skyrim a bit. But regardless, he has returned from a place that is not where he is, and he has gone back to mid lane. Take that, common sense. I know. Nobody expected it. Him coming back to mid lane after dying in mid lane, truly not something one could predict. As it stands right now, though, ace high. Started off with a pretty bad hand, honestly. Gonna leave that a second to sink in, but I went there. But they've actually come out pretty okay on the gold front, surprisingly. Partly because they got the first blood for themselves. I still feel like Virtus.pro have the advantage here, just on experience across the board, and the levels is gonna, or should give them an advantage just on the grounds of their health bars. Still, Virtus.pro playing against the Jace in top lane with a Janna supporting him, so a bit of an unusual one, but again, the level disadvantage there. You can see Thaldrin, he has to run every time. Every single time they go for him, you run away. Make sense? Because otherwise they're going to harass him for a lot of damage. But, of course, that means he's kept away from the minions, so he doesn't even get any health. And Thresh is free to go fishing for hooks right now. Warwick, of course, exerts no early pressure, so this is just going to continue for some time. They're hitting the tower now, and that will, mean that at least South can get the experience no matter what, and probably most of the gold as well. That's backed up in that lane. Like a 50-year-old man. With piles. And Licrit is going to be actually ganked here by the level 5 Warwick, and there's a TP, so... I mean... Hey, that works, in a way. It baited out the TP, so yeah, fair play, Warwick. That was unconventional on the grounds that he had no crowd control to speak of. But unfortunately, because it's hit the tower, and because of the way the minions have fallen here, that wave is now going to push in Ace's favor, by which I mean Ace's favor with massive inverted commas, because that is going to get frozen against them again. And Virtus.pro is just going to sit there and harass them out. And meanwhile, Power of Dreams is actually doing a pretty good job of getting himself some farm in his 2v1 lane. So Virtus.pro showing themselves to have, honestly, a pretty keen, intelligent mind. Holy Phoenix is absenting himself by virtue of his Valkyrie. Man, that machine gun does no damage on its own. But hey, Mirror End got pretty low. The gank was almost wasted, and Theocles is going to take advantage. Now, that's actually pretty smart. With Thaldrin there, they may as well. The low enemy jungler who couldn't contest it, they would be able to burst him out pretty quickly. They can still do the dragon juggle. It's not going to last, people. It's not going to last. Regardless, though, pushing that down, taking them objectives, getting them bonuses that gets nerfed next patch, and generally doing a pretty solid job across the board. So even though Theocles had his really bad early game, he's caught up himself pretty well. And honestly, a lot of that comes down to Mirror End not having a lot of presence here. He's really done next to nothing. I mean, he went for that one gank in the bot lane. I'm trying to think if he's ganked anywhere else at all. My memory is not telling me anything. Does not necessarily mean he didn't gank somewhere. My memory and reality often have some alarming discrepancies, but I think it's the case. I think that's going to be turning out to be the case here. Regardless, though, Corki has moved himself up to top lane. Caitlyn is going to move herself down to bot lane, it looks like. Yeah, fair play. Want to be shutting down the Jace. Makes a lot of sense. Keeping him low on the farm. That was something I did identify in Champion Select. Probably should have done. The fact that he, with the Malphite pick at the end, I said I'm not sure I like that, you know, against that, against the Jace pick, but it wasn't. It wasn't even against Jace. Meanwhile, ganks across the board, and Power Dreams, with his ultimate, well, he tried. Pretty hard to kill him there, but honestly, I'm surprised he didn't just, like, ult out. He could have gone, like, the Malphite ult takes you such a long distance, and he was already about as far to the right as he could go while still being under the tower, so might have been able to just get out of there, but, well. Hindsight is 20/20, as they say. Unlike my eyes. I wear glasses. If you didn't know. I know. Shocking. Truly. Some nerd here wearing glasses. What? Virtus.pro. 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 Asu. Also, apparently gold. The chemical symbol. Ow. I don't... AU. I don't know why... I don't know when they became gold. Maybe they're a gold ace. Who knows? Maybe you deserve a gold trophy if you get an ace. I don't think so, because otherwise we'd be giving out a lot of gold trophies, but maybe that's the opinion of chat. And who am I to judge the wisdom of the crowd? I mean, other than someone with a bit of knowledge, I mean, I'd like to think I have some common sense. Crowds tend to get carried away, you know. Just, not the way it goes, but Mirror End deciding that in lieu of not ganking for a long, long time, he's going to gank. He didn't die. And Gustastu is somewhat playing a risky game by going back in there. I mean, there wasn't really kill potential, but fair play. Extra damage. Dodged the Xerath Q. Though I'm actually a little surprised to see Xerath didn't try and ult. Out of mana. That's probably why. Could have been a bit of an issue for him then. Corky is the push. Caitlyn is not yet done with her item. Nor, however, is Corky, and he is going to have to abandon ship. What on earth was he doing? You got vision. Well done. It's going to get blocked. It didn't get blocked. It didn't get fired. Outplayed. You forced him to move over there. Oh. Oh. Duke shoes. Well, we know he's not scripting. I stole that joke. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not really that sorry at all. That's a good joke. And truly, there is no form of flattery greater than imitation. He said, wording it oddly made me forget what the phrase actually meant. Now, looks like the battle for Vision over Dragon is well in progress, and Theocles is going to be going in, and that is quite a lot of damage there. Onto Vincent Vega. However, it's not a kill, and well, Caitlyn now probably going to be able to still contribute damage or try and get some health back. Pauldron is also going to struggle in this top lane right now. That's the real benefit here for Virtus.pro's play thus far in rotating around, getting the 2v1s. Caitlyn can push down the towers quite quickly, as you can see by the fact that her tower has been reasonably damaged, but with the freeze out, Jace just wasn't able to deal with her. And that has meant that she's now got a pretty good start here, and Malphite in particular is going to be able to dumpster a Jace like that. Lithilian succumbing to Janna syndrome, whereby you become so confident in your ability to self-peel that you'll just start doing dumb stuff. And a fight has broken out as well here, so Theocles is going to be forced to run away from that one. And Virtus.pro coming out on top. Mirror End waiting around in the area. I still don't like Mirror End's play so far this game, but he's doing the right thing about now. Warwick, however, he is also doing the right thing, and that was a shockwave and a half, so didn't have the follow-up, but can't complain at all there. So Virtus.pro doing themselves a bit of a mischief by grouping up like that. Thaldrin, meanwhile, yeah, you got a bit burned there, son. And dive under the tower from Warwick. Picks himself up another. So Ace, you don't have the you don't have this mindset of when it's time, like everybody goes, but they don't seem to have a great strategic mind or great methods for countering the strats of their opponents, shall we say. They're good when they're proactive. So now Virtus.pro, once again, looking to kind of center themselves. They obviously didn't do too well for themselves in that last little engage. So they need to back up, hold up, make sure they get back in gear. And they have to be very concerned right now because that J is starting to catch up to where Malphite's at. That 2-level gap is still there. But the gold, certainly, starting to sneak much less in Power of Dream's favor, shall we say. And I'm not sure about the late game here for Virtus.pro. They're going to struggle if they can't start to get some towers or pick down now. And lit crit, that's a difficult thing. He was very, very close to that hook. If he'd been able to get it, could have been really, really big for them, but it just wasn't going to happen that time. The struggle for playing Thresh right there. So, this is not a scenario that favors Virtus.pro. Unless there's a big group up, and Virtus.pro is able to follow up on Power of Dreams initiate like really, really quickly, so it has to be really dumb positioning from Ace, basically. Then a 5-man stack in mid versus a 5-man stack in mid is just not a good plan for Virtus.pro. They're better off trying to engineer scenarios where they could split the enemy team up, catch them in a small group, get, you know, the 2 or 3-man fight. And of course, Warwick is really, really strong in those environments too, so I'm not sure what the plan is, but at the moment they're just going to be allowed to siege, because everyone was like, yeah, siege is done now, right, guys? Yeah, it's done. Ace, hey, yeah, we're here at Ace are now gonna split up and just like go elsewhere. Warwick, Janna, and Jay and Corki all left, and they were left facing a 5-man stack with 3. So not really the best plan. That was good maths. And Corki now gonna be also making himself scarce. Ace looking to react, but I don't really see them catching anyone there. There's not a lot of vision across the board, actually. Neither side has really put down any warding. And that doesn't seem like the best plan. IMHO, shall we say. Those shock blasts, they're starting to hurt. And it's only going to get worse. He is actually pretty strapped for cash even now. And yet. Of course, he has hit level 9, and that is also the point where the leveling of the skill hits its maximum point. But, of course, it also has a stupid AD ratio and, you know, all the rest of those little touches that just make Jace that much more incredibly difficult to deal with. Theocles, he's actually pretty strong right now. Got his Devourer, got his Kindle Gem, and got his, well, many things to put him down. Nothing so convenient as a shotgun in this world. Well, actually, well, yeah. I was trying to draw like a taking your dog behind the shed kind of comparison, but it just didn't. It doesn't really work. If you hold that logic up to the light, I really think that Virtus.pro may actually have used quite a lot more firepower than a given shotgun. So, yeah, that's failed metaphors. It happens. We've all got to cope with them sometimes. Got to end your relationship with your metaphor. Cut it off and learn to start afresh. Holy Phoenix might be going to start afresh from the spawn pad, but actually does dodge 2. And Lithilian did keep him alive, except then he got caught and died. And so might Tegustas, had he not had his flash. And he's good at those like instant shockwaves in terms of executing them in ways that they're going to surprise the enemy. But surprising the enemy is not necessarily what you want to do. Like, you could surprise the enemy by all sneaking into their base, like outside their spawn pad and jumping onto it, screaming touchdown. But that's not going to necessarily be the strat to win the game. And by extension here, Gustas, he's thrown out a lot of shockwaves that surprise the enemy. And then the enemy is like, oh, wow, you caught me. And walk away with, 200 damage because of the shockwave. And that's about it. There's no follow-up. He did get that really good one in the Dragon Pit, but again, there was no positioning follow-up. So, although that one did give Warwick the chance to get close to try for that smite. So, that one was a lot more logical. But regardless, not necessarily what I would be calling ideal play right now. Mirror End actually... Ooh, that is a bit of a chunk, don't you know? So, Dragon doing its work, and it looks like it's going to come down to a poke fight. But of course, again... no vision here. Nobody's warding. I don't know why everyone's like allergic to them, but the only ward here for Ace is in the pit. You do not want to group up like that, Ace. Please, just don't put 3 people next to each other when you're dealing with this Malphite. That is just hideously dangerous. Still, good rotation here from Virtus.pro. They have actually built themselves a little bit of an advantage in terms of their positioning, and now they should go back to Dragon right now. This is where they go back to Dragon. They've got vision in the enemy jungle. They can try to create a pick whilst the Ace is moving back across. But they weren't able to. They have, however, put down a lot of poke damage there. Xerath. Ooh, that's actually a really smart Monsoon. That gives them the chance to try and fight back. But the time it's taken means they're going to lose out. And that, of course, is Virtus.pro's go sign. They know their opponents are poked low. And they now are also low, which has completely changed the way it goes in one quick shock blast to disengage, disengage. That is the plan here for Virtus.pro. They need to get out as fast as they can. Shockwave on 1 once again. But... all going a bit messy right now with one person here, another there, and Holy Phoenix really looking like he might want something, but Licrit is unable to stop him, and as a result it ended up as a 1-4-3. Virtus.pro did get themselves the Dragon though. They lose a tower and May a second, but still, I think Virtus.pro, yeah. They could have done themselves a lot worse than this. Actually, I've changed my opinion. Not that much worse. It was okay, but not that great. I'm just saying that on the grounds that really Ace have just taken themselves a lot of global gold. They need to get themselves a Dragon if they can, but they've got the first one, so they've got the combat stats. And the second Dragon really isn't that important. The third is nice, the movement speed. Really, really nice. But right now, Virtus.pro, unless they're like on the offensive, that's not going to be so helpful for them. Gustas gets it. Team Malphite, you jumped the gun there. Power Dreams. Dreaming of power that he didn't have, not enough AP. Although he is building a Negatron cloak. Or, that's not a Negatron. That ain't a Negatron cloak. He's building himself Abyssal Scepter. That's what I was thinking of. And with that in tow, he should be able to do some stuff. Some damages, some hurtiness. Some real hurtiness. One of the things he can do. The magic damage reduction. Magic resist reduction. Theocles. Well. Who wins in a team fight here? That is the question. The answer is it kind of depends. But it's looking to me like Ace has significantly better poke. He's come so close on so many big hooks. But that was not a good engage from Power of Dreams. Just not even vaguely. Way too far in with no actual focus on the back line. So yeah, a bit of a waste there. And now Xerath. He's going to get chased down. He's not going to get out of that one in a hurry. Although he actually did get out in quite a hurry. So make a liar out of me. Why don't you? But doesn't really matter. They're going to be putting down some extra rockets for their troubles. And with no Warwick, there's no Baron potential here. In spite of that, however, that was definitely Ace's victory. They get themselves more map presence. And, well, they've actually got quite a lot of wards now. All around the upper area, around Baron. But, you know, at least they've recognized that that is an area they may want to control. I still think that maybe they are under-prioritizing wards as an overall. And there's this problem that a lot of people have with pink wards is that they don't want to move them. Like, even if, as long as it's like still alive and still providing vision, they never want to move them. So it's like, it's in my jungle and we're constantly pressed up against their base. But it's like, but it's lasting forever. I'm getting infinite value out of this. But you're getting like nothing. It's doing nothing. Still, at the moment, I can't see anything too wrong with the vision. I can't see anything too wrong. I mean, maybe that Tri-Brush ward for Virtus.pro is looking a bit like it might need a new home. In spite of that, however, it's okay. It's all up to the individual anyway. It is not my place to decide. Virtus.pro. What are you doing? Liquid wants the hook. Wants it, wants it. He's not going to get it. A little unfortunate there. And now he has to go back. And Dragon's up in 40 seconds. And Theocles is insanely fast. Oh my god. Good god. And just got forced flash, and it wasn't even enough. That's what you get for bleeding on him, Litcrit. Your scent of blood has given Warwick enough power to just run at 1,000 miles an hour. For an hour. I don't even know. That's weird. Not actually sure I like this Baron here, because Virtus.pro probably could have contested it had they been a bit quicker on the ball. And they might still be able to as well. Virtus.pro, do they actually want to go for the initiate though? There's no Warwick ultimate, so he's really gimped, but then Power of Dreams misses his ultimate, and the rest of Virtus.pro are caught in a shockwave. So that was potentially an engage they could have won. They didn't, for pretty obvious and apparent reasons. Little unfortunate for you there, old chap. And it looks like Virtus.pro have perhaps struggled on the gameplay part of the game. They're good at strategy, perhaps, but they made. I mean, genuinely, Virtus.pro has made mostly correct calls, I'd say. But then they just lose the team fight anyway, or you know, they're trying to go in the for an engage and they're just in the dumb place. So yeah, really a bit weird. And Baron is still standing, I guess, so that's something. But it looks like Ace is just going to gradually build up more and more advantage. These two compositions are very, very similar in how they function. And that usually means that if one team gets ahead of the other, there's going to be a problem. Because, oh, that was nice. That was a nice interrupt. And if you want, you can measure the delay that I'm watching at by exactly when I said, oh, because that was exactly when I saw Jace's knockback cancel. And Warwick. Oh, you are so fun. Oh my. Surprised he's not chasing that. He could probably catch up with him. Anyway, going to be going for that dragon afterwards. And it looks like Virtus.pro. And chats, I can measure chat's delay by exactly the same method. But anyway, it looks like Baron should be falling post-haste. Or ace. And Virtus.pro, yeah, not going to be in a position to contest that. Just not happening. So, pretty good situation for him there. As the Baron goes down and the improved 4-second recoil. Why are you taking the crab now? Why would you even want that? What is he doing? Warding an empty Baron pit. You see, you take the crab before you do the Baron, so that if it all goes south, you run away really, really quickly. And Holy Phoenix is in a bit of a dumb place. Honestly, there's no reason for him to be there and caught out. And this is actually kind of really, really stupid as well by the rest of Ace. They're just like funneling in one by one. What the hell was that? What the hell was that? That was the bronziest thing I've seen in a while. Not even gonna lie, guys. I'm sorry, but what? It was just cut your losses. Yeah, okay. Holy Phoenix being there in the first place was a bit stupid, but then you're like, yeah, well, do you know what'll fix that problem? Because we know that the enemy has sent like 3 guys up there at least. We'll send 3 guys to fight their 3 guys, where we have no idea where the last 2 people are, and hope they won't have sent those last 2 people in this area. I just can't. Oh dear. But that happens. That happens. People get carried away in the moment. On the bright side for Virtus.pro, though, that's just taken the Baron buff off of everybody except Janna, right? Or everybody except Janna and Jace, I want to say. Can't see it right now. Would double check, but certainly they still have 1 Baron buff, and that is enough to at least get some siege going. It's also delayed the push, of course, by virtue of respawn timers, and Virtus.pro have an opportunity to push out and try and kind of counter that push. They don't want to race Ace, though. They will lose the Ace race, because if they do that, they will lose the base race with Ace. Yes, there we go, it rhymes. But if they were to do that, the problem they would suffer is, of course, that Ace would just have not only the Baron buff, but also a Jace, which is the trump card for Ace's base race with Jace. There we go. Virtus.pro gonna be fighting them again, unable to get a good initiate, unable to take down Holy Phoenix, who is in the back line, and in spite of their previous derp, it's okay. They're gonna win this game, no questions asked. I don't see Xerath stopping anyone anytime soon, and he's certainly not going to be doing it now. With the tower going down. That actually may be the game. Respawn timers are still a bit short. It's like 25-30 seconds each. But with the Baron buffed minions, with the attack speed from a Warwick, Chase's W, all that damage, they're certainly going to take both the towers. This is pretty punishing here. And I don't think Midran's going to get there in time, so that will be the game. A very one-sided, in the end, game from Ace. They just seem to have a much better grasp of how to win their team fights. Just how to fight, basically. Virtus.pro, yeah, they had really good level 1. They had really good strats, but after that, it was just really a bit meh. So, whatever, that's how it goes. There will be another game, of course, coming up after this, but we're going to go into a quick break now, and hopefully won't take too long for us to get going on the second one. Guys, I've been Spuddington. Follow me at Spuddington on Twitter. follow the channel, etc. Feel free. Don't if you don't want to. You know, that's all your prerogative, man. But guys, we'll be right back.